Prime Minister's released his latest campaign slogan. No soup kitchens under Laurier. What do you think of it?
Not up to his usual flowery standard.
How do you rate our chances, Wheeler?
These are prosperous times. It won't be easy to convince the voters that the government is ruining the country. May I take this? Senator Winter will be interested.
Well?
Good times. Do you feel them in your pockets? You must admit, Senator, the Liberals do have the common touch.
Well, they're not wasting any time. 150 nominations in and still 2 weeks to go. Laurier's going to tour Ontario. That shows he's jittery.
What do you think, Senator?
Oh, I think we'll win Toronto. I don't know about the rural ridings. We still have a few gaps to fill.
Senator Winter, Mr. James Sturgis is asking for you.
Please ask him to join us.
Sturgis?
A relative of my daughter's.
Shall I leave you?
Oh, no, it's quite all right. He's come here to see his 2 girls. They go to school here in Ottawa.
Mr. Sturgis, Senator.
James, good to see you again. May I introduce Mr. Garfield Wheeler?
Sir?
Percy, clear this stuff away. I'm sure Mayor Sturgis would like a whiskey. The Rideau Club is famous for its single malts.
Thank you. Very nice.
3 doubles and a selection of cigars, please.
How's Clara?
Still very frail.
She never looked forward to the winter.
I must send her some books. I shan't have time to visit her for the next few weeks. I'll have my hands full with the election.
Yes. How's it going?
Oh, I think we can claim a modest confidence.
Will you be visiting southern Ontario at all?
It's possible.
Of course, you're more than welcome in Tamarack, of course.
Tamarack, yes. The riding that it's in, East York. What do you think our chances are for the Conservatives there?
Oh, all the people we know are Tories. Though the Liberals always seem to win.
Didn't do too well there in the last federal election.
I'm sure that can change.
Particularly if we choose the right candidate. Thank you, Percy. What do you think of the sitting member?
Horatio Hodgson? Oh, I'd say he's on his last legs. Thank you.
Over 70 and going deaf. Even Laurier isn't too happy with him, so I hear.
Still has a lot of loyal supporters. It won't be that easy to dislodge him after 20 years. Well, here's to success. Delicious.
I think you could do it, James.
I beg your pardon. Did you say?
That's why I wanted you to come and see me before you left for home.
Me, a candidate?
Don't tell me it never crossed your mind.
Local politics, of course.
James is mayor of Tamarack.
Indeed.
I never dreamed I'd be coming here to Ottawa. Well, not so soon.
You'll have to win the election first, of course. But with your local connections, you stand a fine chance at least. Try one of these cigars.
Thank you.
We can provide you with a first-class agent. Someone who knows all the ropes. And we can offer you help in other ways.
I suppose it'll cost a lot of money.
Oh, don't worry about that, James. I wasn't only speaking of financial help. I want the voters of East York to know that you have an influential backing here in Ottawa.
Of course, if you could manage to find some time to come and speak, that would be a tremendous help.
Oh, yes, naturally. I consider it my duty. How long are you going to stay?
Well, I was planning to leave tonight.
I'd like you to meet our leader, Mr. Borden.
Robert Borden?
If you could change your departure till tomorrow.
Yes, of course. Though I told my mother I would be coming back. She'd be worried.
You can send a telegram. The whole porter will attend to it. You'd better do that right now.
Yes, I will. If you'll excuse me.
Mine not to question your decision, Senator.
I'm not such a fool as you think. There is an explanation for all things.
But Mayor Sturgis of Tamarack? He hardly seems ideal.
You think I'm doing a favor to a relative?
No, of course not.
He serves our purpose very well.
May I ask what that purpose is?
To contest the seat.
And lose it? I don't understand.
Robert Borden himself couldn't stand a chance in that place. If he stood in Market Square, wrapped in the Union Jack, so why waste a good candidate in there? We need our best men in Toronto, where the odds are better, and by God, Wheeler will win. One flag, one throne, one country. Is it really so important what happens in East York?
Robert Borden! I can't believe it. He's coming here?
So he's promised, Mother. Of course, he'll have to alter his timetable.
Oh, and he'd do that for you? Oh, it's like a miracle. I never thought I'd see the day.
I didn't think I would either.
What does that mean, John?
A prosperous businessman supporting the Conservatives?
I always have.
What's wrong with the Conservatives?
No vision, Mrs. Sturgis. Look at the way they're dragging their feet about the railway.
Oh, there's no difference of opinion about whether we should have a second railway across Canada, John. It's a question of putting it in the right hands.
You liberals want to sell us to the United States. You always have.
Free trade, that's all we stand for.
Yes, so you and your boot factory can prosper.
And James Tannery.
Oh, all this is beyond me. Sometimes I'm quite glad we women don't have the vote. Let the men keep on messing things up. I wash my hands of it.
The amazing thing is you'll probably get in. Even I'll find it hard to vote for old Horatio Hodgson. The last time I saw him, he looked half asleep, like an old tortoise waiting for hibernation.
Well, I don't want to underestimate the opposition. I have the press to reckon with. Well, the Tamarack Examiner would be against me. Always was.
Radical rag.
Mother, I wish you wouldn't see everything so black and white. Now, if John chooses to vote Liberal, or the Examiner wishes to write editorials in support of Laurier, I'm sure they do it from the best of motives.
I still think it's flying in the face of nature.
What is, Mrs. Sturgis?
This is a British country. We can't have a Frenchman running it. It isn't natural.
Reciprocity. What's that? It's what the Liberals believe in and we don't. Father's liberal. I heard him say. That's no reason why we have to be. No, I suppose not. He's only our stepfather. Mother's a conservative. And so is Gran. Well, they don't count. They haven't got the vote. And nor have you. I'll write Uncle Edgar and see what he thinks. He's on maneuver, silly. They won't send a special messenger with a letter from a little boy. Anyway, you're too young to vote. Well, then why are you telling me all this? Oh, what? Oh, reciprocity, you mean. You're just trying to show off. You will be able to vote one day, so you better know. What is it, then? Mr. Laurier, the Prime Minister, says that we ought to import things from the United States without paying taxes. And they ought to be able to buy things from us. So it's just as if the two countries were one big one. See? What's wrong with that? What's wrong? Don't let Gran hear you say that. She'll wallop you. Big countries win all the wars. Ask Uncle Edgar. Girls don't know anything. Come on.
These are the voters' rolls for Carlisle and Franklin, Mr. Mayor. As you can see, they total approximately 3,000 names. To cover wastage, I suggest we distribute 4,000 copies of your election address in that area and another 1,000 in Tamarack itself.
How many election campaigns have you fought, Mr. Wheeler?
Sometimes they seem as uncounted as the sands of the sea, Mr. Mayor.
If we're to work together, I prefer Christian names. Yours is Garfield, is it not?
That is correct.
And you may call me James.
Yes. If I'd been called in at an earlier stage, I would have suggested Jim. It has a more democratic ring. Still, we must do the best with what we've got. I didn't make any appointments for you.
Now, look here, Garfield. You don't have to run the whole of my life for me.
Yes, His Worship will see me, editor of the Tamarack Examiner, J. Graham Matthews.
Local representative of the 4th Estate.
And the agent they sent out from Toronto. You're not putting any big city notions in the mayor's head. Good morning, Your Worship.
You can be assured that I shall do what I think best for Tamarack. And that is to say, East York.
Where do you stand on the question of the railway?
I think there should be run by the government on behalf of those who use them.
On what do you base that belief?
Public ownership has proved a great success in Britain.
Is that official conservative policy, total public ownership?
Well, each candidate is allowed latitude to form his own position. I happen to believe... Yes, if we want the trains to run on time and the post office to work better, then the government obviously is the only agency that should be... You're not taking any notes.
My readers have heard all this before.
Then I'm surprised you would come here and waste my time. What are you hoping I'd say? Something sensational, no doubt. I told you before, I can't stand that scandal sheet of... Yes, well, I'm sorry. Forgive me if I seem discourteous. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
No offense, Mr. Mayor. No offense. What's your opinion of the Liberal candidate?
Horatio Hudson. Getting a bit long in the tooth and quite wrong-headed.
I don't mean Horatio Hodgson. You haven't heard?
Heard what? There's been some change?
They wouldn't be in a hurry to tell you, of course. Full details in today's edition. Truth is, old Horatio's been put out to grass.
You mean he's not running again?
Then who is?
A young man by the name of Lawrence Foster.
The devil's he.
People farm out at Haddon Woods. He just graduated from agricultural college.
No political experience?
President of the debating society. Brilliant speaker. Laurier heard him, took a shine to him.
Isn't that ridiculous? Well, the Brits are getting overconfident. That's their trouble. Sending a schoolboy. Well, it's good news for us. Don't you think so, Garfield?
Protege of Laurier's.
What's that noise? I won't stand for rowdyism.
A vote for Laurier is a vote for Canada.
I'd like you to read this. My electoral address.
Oh, is that a fact?
And the lad, one for you. I'm sure you'll find it interesting.
Well, say thank you, Billy, and be sure to read it, huh? Well, not every day we get a chance to talk to Mr. Sturgis.
About as much idea of getting himself elected as my Aunt Martha's goat. It'd be hard
Ciao.
You can't expect much help from me, I said. Not even in the way of business. So he had to go and get his handbills printed up in Toronto.
Mr. Lawrence Foster.
Oh, John Trevelyan, a good friend of ours.
Well, glad to know you, John.
Well, I'm very pleased to meet you.
John owns the boot factory a couple of blocks from here.
Well, there should be a few votes there, I hope.
Well, one anyway.
I'll see if Mrs. Carlo can rustle up some coffee.
I came in to say that if there's anything I can do, I'll be glad to help.
Well, thanks very much. Please, sit down.
Thank you.
I'm only just beginning to know this town, and I need all the information I can get.
Well, I wouldn't rely too much on him.
No, I got some good advice on that from Mr. Laurier.
Oh? And what was that?
Well, he told me that journalists were for giving information to, not getting it from.
Well, sounds like quite a man.
Oh, he is.
A lot of people here think of Laurier as some kind of vampire wearing a top hat with the stars and stripes and a priest's cassock.
Well, I wouldn't say a vampire. Certainly an enchanter. Weave a circle round him thrice, and close your eyes with holy dread, for he on honeydew has fed and drunk the milk of paradise.
Certainly makes him sound like a tough man to beat.
Coffee's on its way. Mrs. Carlo wants to meet you.
Ah. Well, isn't that something? I've never even seen Mrs. Carlo. Well, tell me, Lawrence, what can I do for your campaign? There's just a little over 2 weeks left.
Well, what I really need is a local man who's a good speaker.
Right, then count me out, because any good I can do will have to be done by stealth.
Why is that?
Well, whatever happens, I still have to live with James Sturgis after this. We're business partners. My wife's first husband was his brother. Now, I can't go on street corners telling the world he's an nincompoop. Anyway, he isn't. Always. He's just a bit, well, short-sighted.
Yes, I understand. Well, and who have we here?
Per piacere, signore.
Ah, che graziose bambini. Vieni, cara, vieni, dammi un bacio.
Wheeler, I didn't expect I'd see you back. Front line getting too hot for you?
May I sit down?
Of course. I can see you're all in. Drink? You look as if you walked all the way from,
East York.
East York, yes. Now, what was I hearing about
The
that?
Liberals have a new man.
Ah, yes, got it now. Young Lawrence Foster. Bright young man, according to the papers.
How much do you know about him, Senator?
Not much. Good family.
Good looking, too. The women of Tamarack find him irresistible.
A point in our favor, that. The men won't vote for a fellow if he's too handsome. Laurier has the same trouble. It is difficult to put your confidence in a man who looks like an actor.
Senator, I need help.
I thought you might.
I need ammunition.
Oh, anything I can do, Wheeler. As you know, I have a personal interest in the East York campaign. What would you like?
More information on Lawrence Foster. Not the sort of thing you read in the newspapers. Well, if he's made such an impression on the ladies of Tamarack, there may have been others.
Others?
Entanglements, you know.
Sexual entanglement.
Well, I just thought that possibly that...
Well, I hope we're not going to win the election by casting aspersions on our opponent's moral conduct.
I just thought that... might have been...
Anyway, you're talking to the wrong man. What you need is a word with Flack.
Flack?
Herbert Flack. Astounding fellow. Knows everything that goes on in Ottawa. He's the one who found out about the St. John Railroad shares. Great embarrassment to Laurier. Yes, Flack's your man. Don't say I suggested it.
You think he may have something on young Foster?
Oh, I doubt it. He's ambitious. He'd be careful not to make a mistake. It's the older ones who get into trouble.
Perhaps it's not such a good idea.
Well, we must try everything we can. However, I don't think it'll change the results. As you know, I never thought much of our chances in East York.
Yes. You made that crystal clear. Mayor Sturgis is expendable.
I don't think I said it quite that crudely, Wheeler.
Am I expendable as well?
Of course not. I'm sorry I sent you out there. You're far too experienced. I shouldn't have wasted you. It's not too late to change, though. Some of the other agents aren't coming up to scratch. We need you in Quebec.
Next time, perhaps. I want to see this through. I hate to lose a fight, but I hate even more giving up before it starts. Now, tell me, when may we expect a visit from you in Tamarack?
I have a very demanding schedule.
You said you would.
Did I? Yes, well, we'll see.
What? You never told me.
Just a flying visit. A briefing from campaign headquarters on some new policy decisions. And they wanted to know how things were going here.
What'd you tell them?
I told them everything was fine.
I suppose there was no news on Senator Winter's visit. Eva Paul would be best if you could manage it.
I'm sure you'll do the best you can.
I've come to see the mayor.
Do you have an appointment?
You know me, Tom Bradley?
Yes?
Chairman of the Orange Order.
Have a seat, Mr. Bradley.
I would rather stand.
What can I do for you, Mr. Bradley?
Look, I've kept pretty quiet during this election campaign, but right now I'm going to speak my mind. Matter of fact, we don't like being dictated to by Ottawa. There's a well-established practice, which in this case wasn't followed. Now, I'm not saying anything against you personally, but we should have been consulted on the selection of a candidate.
Does that mean that the Orange Order is not going to support me?
Oh, I wouldn't go as far as that. I'm just saying we don't like to be ignored.
Yes, well, you've made your point.
But since Ottawa has taken the matter out of our hands, I brought along something for you to look at.
What's this?
It's a list of policies we'd like you to endorse.
No public money for the establishment of popish schools.
I can't endorse this, Bradley. I'm running for the Conservative Party, not the Orangemen. Well, just think about it. There are 30 lodges in the riding. I reckon that could be 1,100 votes.
I suppose you're telling me they will vote Liberal if I don't support this list?
They could abstain. That'd sink you.
Well, can't expect me to make up my mind that quickly.
We like a decisive man.
Yes, well, you'll have my firm answer tomorrow, Mr. Bradley.
My members may not want to wait that long.
Look! It's over a week to polling day.
You want us to help you with your campaign, don't you? We could organize a parade, drummers, a pipe band. The Liberals can't match that.
No, I dare say they can't. Now, if you will excuse me.
Goodbye. I'll hear from you tomorrow.
This is quite impossible.
We need their help.
But look at it. No more immigration as long as there are Protestants out of work. Consideration to be given to barring papers from government employment. Now, I can't support this.
You heard what the man said.
Yes, and you know that this is not Conservative policy. I can't support this rubbish.
Temporarily, perhaps.
What did you say?
Just until the election is over.
There, that's about 300. And we've sent to Toronto for more ribbon.
That's wonderful, Mother. Thank you.
Oh, it's the ladies in the sewing circle you should thank. I've had them working night and day.
Well, you tell them how grateful I am. This is first-class work.
You can tell them yourself. They're coming over here.
Mother, I've a lot of things to do.
I told them to come over and wish you luck. And if there's anything else that needs doing, don't hesitate to ask. Those women have all the time in the world. Not like me. Oh, that's for Robert Borden when he comes.
Well, unfortunately, Mother...
And there'll be pictures in the press. Sturgis in good big letters.
Mother, I heard this morning Borden can't make it.
He can't. Why not?
Well, he's only spending 2 days in Ontario. He hasn't got time to visit Tamarack.
I thought you said he promised.
Well, things change.
Obviously, he has to go to places where we don't expect to win.
Thank you, Mother.
And Senator Winter won't let you down. After all, he's family. Oh, that'll be the girls. Blanche, where are the rest of you?
They went to take a peek at Mr. Foster.
To give this great country the future it deserves. And now, my friends, for the greatest piece of news of all. What happens right here in Tamarack is being closely watched by Prime Minister Wilfrid Laurier. And as proof of his interest, he has definitely pledged that he will speak right here on the eve of polling day.
Bloody frog! We don't want him here!
Ah, sir, but he wants you. He wants you and everybody else to see themselves not as frogs or as anti-frogs, but as Canadians. Yes, sir, Canadians, the proudest name of all.
I didn't need this, Garfield.
It's a shock, I know.
In a straight fight, I could have licked that boy. Now, in a three-cornered contest, anything could happen.
I tried to warn you.
Yes, and I tried to tell you when the Orange Order came along with those ridiculous demands that I'd have to wait to make up my mind.
Orangemen are not noted for their patience. Still, this new man isn't officially their candidate. He's standing as an independent. But he may get the orange vote.
Bulldog Boyd. What do you know about him?
Owns half a share in a sausage factory. Politically, somewhere to the right of Bismarck.
He's going to
take some votes away from me.
Good many, I'm afraid.
Garfield, you've been through more elections than I have now. What do you think? Do you think I should throw in the towel? I mean, I can't fight the Liberals and this fellow.
I'd say no fight is ever hopeless. Why, there may be some last-minute ministerial scandal. The Liberals may find their vote split by some unexpected candidate. We can't give up now, James.
Yes. Yes, you're right. We mustn't give up hope. Thank you, Garfield. You're a help.
A decent living wage and the prospect of handing this country over to our grandchildren the way we found it. Do you, sir, want to see this land go the way the United States has done? No! Unrestricted immigration. That's what Laurier stands for. And the conservatives don't have the guts to stand up to them. And you know what that means, madam, don't you? I'll bet you've had problems enough already with the kids picking up bad habits from Biddy in the kitchen. And already in Toronto, there's a section they call Little Italy. Is that what you want, my friends? No. Because if you don't, there's not one candidate in this election who's on your side except for me.
Good afternoon, sir. Hello, Carlo. Having time to shave these days. Damn meetings, letters to be answered, one thing and another. How are Mrs. Carlo and the children? Fine. Fine. Doing well at school, are they? Learning English? You should be very talkative. Look, I hope you don't feel awkward with the fact that we seem to be on different sides. No, a man's entitled to his opinions. I've been a customer of yours longer than I
Carlo,
can...
could these come off now?
Pronto, signor.
Well, I'll be.
We don't have to talk if you don't want to.
No, I'd welcome the opportunity, Mr. Sturgis. After all, we both live in the same riding, and whichever of us wins will be representing the other up in Ottawa. And doing his best, I hope.
That's a civilized way of looking at it.
Well, I believe in clean fighting, as I'm sure you do. You know, Mr. Sturgis, your family has a great deal of respect around here. Of course, I hear a lot more about that than you do. Oh, no, they say. We could never vote against the Sturgis.
Jesus Maria. Oh, my God!
Filthy greaseball!
You see, they hate me. They hate my wife. They hate my children.
No, they don't.
No one does, Carlo.
I shouldn't have done it. I never...
Done what?
Used the back room as my headquarters. Carlo, it was thoughtless and stupid. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, not using your force. Me. They want me to go.
It's that man, Bulldog Boyd, who should be run out of town. I'm still mayor here, and I won't stand for that.
It's impossible to prove, though we both know who did it.
Politics. I wish I never got involved.
But that's why you did get involved. Same as I did. Put a stop to this. I think we're on the same side about that, Mr. Sturgis.
Clement, what happened?
The boy in the dry goods store. I had to hit him.
Why, Clement?
Because he called me a filthy Tory.
Well, it serves him right, the dirty little grit.
Mayor Sturgis is a man of excellent qualities, a captain of commerce who has done much for our community, a devout churchgoer, an example to our youth.
Trying to butter me up, is he?
But let us not mince words. The Conservatives are realists. Gordon and his crew know full well they have no chance of winning the riding of East York Therefore, rather than throw away the chances of one of their more experienced candidates, they've chosen in Mayor Sturgis a man of straw.
Well, I'm not impressed by what he says. Man is nothing short of an anarchist. Anyway, nobody will read anything he...
Come in.
Telegram for His Worship. Thank you, Cecil. This is better news. From Senator Winter. I knew he could be relied on. Arriving Tamarack, 3 p.m. Meet me at station. Kind regards.
I'm delighted to hear you're doing so well. Quite delighted. I know Gordon is impressed, too.
Oh, thank you, Senator.
So good to see Tamarack again. I wish I could spend more time in it.
Yes, it's grown quite a bit. I was hoping to drive you around. Well, aren't you going to get out?
The fact of the matter is, I have a very important engagement in Toronto. But I couldn't pass through without seeing you.
Yes, I see.
All aboard!
I was hoping. You see, I understood.
I know. I wanted to give you my special support. However, you're not forgotten. I spoke to the finance department and look. A contribution to your expenses.
30 pieces of silver.
Okay. You must speak up, James. Speak up and smile, that's what I always say. And all the rest is politics.
Opportunity. What do the Conservatives have to say? My friends, they have no answer. So, they rely on fear. They try to make your flesh creep with stories of what this monster Laurier will do to Canada. He will open the door to every kind of immigrant. Oh, not every kind. Only Roman Catholics, of course. He will conspire under the pretense of lowering the tariffs to hand the commercial power of the nation to the United States. And worst of all, the Tories say, this dreadful fellow will cut the apron strings that bind Canada to Britain. Well, my friends, to that last charge, I plead guilty. Apron strings are for children, not for a great nation on the verge of manhood.
And tomorrow, it's up to you to decide. As you know, there are 3 candidates. Now, I don't much care for what Mr. Boyd, the independent, stands for, but if you want to vote for him, that's your democratic right. All I really want to say is, please use your vote, because the way it goes tomorrow will be important for all of us, and for our wives and children. And while we're thinking about the future, let's not forget the past. Let's remember our fathers and grandfathers who came from far away to turn this wilderness into a great nation. Don't let's ever lose sight of the principles they worked by for they'd already been tested nearly 1,000 years and are not likely to be thrown away. Our ancestors are part of us. They stand beside us in our daily lives, sharing our hopes and tragedies, watching us make the same mistakes they made, and sharing the same joys. Let us resolve never to break faith with them or with the great country from which they came. Thank you.
Land of hope and glory, mother of the free, how shall we extol thee, born of thee? Wider still and wider shall thy bounty set. God who made thee mighty, made thee mightier yet. God who made thee mighty, made thee mightier
The proudest name of all.
Thank you, Vicar. That was just wonderful. Well, that's that. Now we can get on.
Fran, why do we have a special service?
To ask God's guidance at the polling booth. For those of us who have the vote, that is.
The vicar did very well, I think. Short and to the point.
Yes, a good example. Blanche, I want you to run down to the train station and make sure that every new arrival knows that this is polling day. And then you can go knocking on doors. Oh, and there are 10 men on night shift at the factory to go and wake them up. And now you, children.
Oh! The urgent telegram just came.
He must be from Mr. Borden.
I can't. I'm too anxious. You read it, Mother.
I want you to know all behind you here. Keep hearing good reports, solid backing everywhere. Would like to be with you. Good wishes for a solid win. Stop. Sheila pregnant. Stop. Oh, it's Edgar the fool.
half an hour. Let's start counting. When do you think we'll get the results?
11:30, midnight. Depends how quick they are. And how many votes were cast, of course.
There was a good turnout. We saw to that.
Been quite an experience, all in all. I don't regret it for 1 minute. You know, even if I lose, I still feel I've learned something. I can see now that when I was running for mayor, I knew very little about politics.
Oh, Mother, shall I drive you home?
No, I'm going out to see if I can round up any stragglers.
Polling's nearly over, Mrs. Sturgis.
Oh, it's still worth a try, and it might make all the difference. I'll see you later.
Yes, Mother.
That's what I call tenacity. Remarkable woman, Mrs. Sturgis.
I wonder how she'll take it if I lose.
With courage, I'm sure of that.
Returning officer for the riding of East York, I am now able to give you the results of the federal election held this 3rd day of November, 1904. The names of the candidates and the votes cast for each are as follows. William Herbert Boyd, 836. Lawrence Carey Foster, 2,967. James Martin Sturgis, 2,172. Declare Lawrence Carey Foster duly elected.
Just came to see you off. Everything all right?
You needn't have bothered. Should have stayed in bed.
Quite a night, wasn't it?
Boyd, 836. Foster, 2,967. Sturgis, 2,172. If Mr. Bulldog Boyd hadn't come along and split the vote, you'd have won.
Oh, Foster will make a good MP. Well, don't miss your train. I only came to say
It's been a pleasure, James.
Wasted good talents, I'm afraid.
No, I wouldn't say that. It's good to be reminded sometimes that there are some men in politics who just aren't in it for what they can get. Well, I'll be off. I got a bet to settle in Toronto. Had $5 on Laurier to win. I reckon that should buy me a darn fine dinner.
And what are you doing out of your house?
Oh, I can't sit still, you know me.
It's not done. Not in that condition.
What? There were 10 of them down there like that.
Oh, you stop that.
We'll put the Pope on the end of a rope and a Mick on the end of a stick. We're on the way!
Get away from me!
I want our baby brought up Catholic, and I don't care who knows it. Well, so I might as well be called a chest-pounding papist for going to church, and so might the baby.
She's a Catholic Irish servant girl, and she married you. And afterwards tells you that you've been living in sin.
Doctor's on his way now.
Mother! Please wake up! Something's wrong! I need you. You have to come with me now. You have to.
Coming up next, keep the lights on and spend some time with the master of the macabre. Take a trip into the realm of mystery and suspense on Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Next, only on Showcase. Viewer discretion is advised.
As I return to yesterday, I see soft downy summertimes for me to cling to. I'll journey to our garden if I may, where friends with loving ways will be for me to sing to. But if they are not the same as I've known them, still I would have all that I would need. Come tell of days so fine and oh so fair, once more to love again and all forgiving, of one with shining eyes and tender years, whom I'll be holding to my heart and never leaving.